I can't believe it shut off. So this would be take 2. The finishing of what I wanted to talk about for, excuse me, those situations. Oh, I have to put my headset on. Probably help. You guys hear better. Okay, sorry guys. Stated in the comments that, sorry guys, that the live just cut. The entire Facebook. I just had a black screen, and nothing could ever be easy in my life. It seems it's just the way it is. The way it's always been. I'm used to it. People say I enjoy it. I don't, but it is my life. So it wasn't that easy to go grab a charger. Just because my phone wasn't dead completely, but it was getting close, and I figured I was going to have to get back on here and start another live, and my luck, it would be it would quit. So I went to go get my charger, and I found my bedroom door locked. It is the kind that locks from the inside, but it never locks from the inside, but it locks on the outside. So I had forgotten, I guess, to turn the little knobby, and I was locked out. So in order to get in, I had to break free the molding and break in. Well, that requires a screwdriver. Not one of those simple stick of credit cards in and bada bing. So I had to go get a screwdriver, where, again, this is where I find humor in my life and get to chuckle a little bit. I found the garage door locked like it normally is. However, the person with the key took it with him on accident, and the key is not home. Therefore, I had to break into the garage door too, and the reason we do that is because most people don't, but you know, I do have children, and there's chemicals in a garage, and that is where this person that I know is got their personal business equipment and things like that. So had to break into that door and get a screwdriver, break into the other door. So I'm going to get right to the point on this, because I know whoever has come back and has been on there or will watch this later, I appreciate your time. I know it's important. There's so many things I could talk about. I say hi to everybody again. Stephanie, Marilyn, Reagan, hello honey. Leslie, Kenneth, hello Kenneth. Penny, John, hold on one second, Lisa King, Tasha, hello. I don't even have any cash on me. Are you going to be around later? Or? Could you work on me? Oh, I wish I could, sweetheart. I didn't have any cash, and last time I tried to get cash back, couldn't do it. One of my regular bank cards is lost. So I apologize. Good luck. I'm sure you won't have any problem. Only 4 left. So, yes, Kenneth, it has been a great, a long time, and it's great to see and hear you. I am moving on, but this is very difficult. Angie's back. Hello, Sarah, Heather, back. Jamie. Screwdriver, that's a cocktail. I wish it was a cocktail right now. Janet, John, Bobby, Alex. Welcome back, Alex. Beth, welcome back. Is that better? Let me oh, well, I know why. Hold on. That will probably help. I didn't have it plugged into the headset. Does that help? I'm sure it does. Andrea, hello, and thank you, John. John's back. So I want to get right into this. I would appreciate it if you share this, because there is still some points. I know that I've pointed out some things that have happened, but these are the 2 biggest points that I want to be driven across. In my case, Many people do know that they have a father who is involved in their life. However, he was placed on supervised visits in our divorce, and that has never changed. I did have him living here for a year, and things were good. I am the one that gets to decide any kind of supervision, or if not, before he lived here, he lived with his mother, and that's where he lives again. And therefore, she was labeled the person to supervise, and I knew that my kids were taken care of to a certain extent while they were there. I stated this the other day. Their father, and look, it is what it is. I did look up today to make sure, because people started calling. Yeah, hold on just a second, hon. Hold on, guys. Give me just a minute. Do you sell them often? 317-200-5157. My name's Jamster. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, sorry, guys. Always want to help people out, so I apologize. Okay, so, excuse me, where was I? When I felt things were going bad and the pressure on him and I became pretty intense to the point where I felt it was the best for him to move out, that he did. So, oh, little baby. When DCS took my children, it is in the report that they contacted his father, and this is where I was. I did not know everything. I knew about a child support warrant. That obviously is for me, but I was trying to help him work around that. I then found out that he has 6 charges in 6 counties for theft. That's a problem. 3 of those have active warrants in Indiana. I question whether there was a 4th one, and I still am not sure because I believe, is in Illinois. These things were all done before he ever moved in. I did not know. And charges were filed after he moved in, but the incident occurred before he moved in. That in itself, I would think would keep DCS from offering my children to him. That did not. The fact that he is $10,000 behind and left here owing me almost $3,000 in rent, because he never paid it. I struggle with my house because of that, and that's where things got bad for me in being able to afford the house. They also ran the bills up very high, and that money wasn't there to cover it. So the fact that he's $10,000 behind in child support and has an active warrant for that, as well as, the other warrants, the other 3, the other 2, possibly 3, that again would think that they wouldn't offer my children to him. They did. The other day on the Zoom meeting, team meeting, I call it the kidnapping team meeting. That is exactly what it is. They're trying to force services. They're already speaking to my children. I explained in the radio show that I did with V. They don't even have an attorney for my kids. That's one point I asked specifically and that's the second point I'm going to get into, but I asked specifically if they were going to be providing one for my children, and what was said floored me, absolutely floored me, because, let me get this first, the visitation. My daughter, I have not kept it a secret that my ex-husband developed a drug addiction, bad, and became very violent. I tried to get him help, and it wasn't possible, and therefore we split. Later on, I gave him another chance, I will say that, and that ended in a divorce. 7 months away from him, he had quit. He was doing great. We got back together. 3 months later, we were married, and within 3 weeks after that, we separated again because he was back on drugs. I'm not the one that has the intense history of drug addiction. Ever. I've never had any kind of charge. I've never had anything. So, as well as him looking like he is completely what they say I am, and sick, sunken in, his behavior, things like that reminded me of when he was on drugs again. I would think they wouldn't offer my kids to him. Well, not only that, during the court on that Friday, Memorial Weekend Friday, he was appointed an attorney. So I guess I guess something just kind of hit me, I guess, that even dads in jail deserve to have help, but the fact that he is so far behind, that he is not paying now to this day, has the inactive warrant, has these other warrants, I would think that would make a difference, but it doesn't. So they offer him an attorney. I don't fully believe in public defenders, that they offer much help. I'm not saying all of them, but the majority of them, the experience that I've had, they don't. Oh, I just unplugged it. Sorry, guys. With that call, I found out that my daughter was the supervisor of the visits. This is a man that had my daughter in a very bad position physically when she was pregnant. And I could not believe the way that my oldest was acting towards him and saying about him. I've said this from the very beginning. I believe that this whole thing was orchestrated prior to my children ever going and visiting them. I believe it is not my daughter who called, but I believe that it is her fiancé from the report, or exactly what I suspected was happening was that my son-in-law was really good friends with my ex behind my back, I guess. I mean, they can be friends. You can be friends with whoever you want. However, I believe that my ex-husband is working with Nancy Furman. As many of us know, some of you don't, Miss Furman is a stalker, been a stalker, harasser, and taken it to an extreme height in just over 2 years. They received masks. My children received face masks from Nancy Furman behind my back to my ex-mother-in-law, and my ex-husband repeatedly acted like he didn't know what was going on until the Saturday prior to me having CPS show up at my house the same day that he threatened and threatened and threatened. This man blackmailed me for 2 years with hidden cameras in my bathroom, footage that he hid them, and being a public person, that is the last thing that you want to be exposed, is your private moments in the restroom. So I stayed in that marriage, or that relationship, I'm sorry, it wasn't quite the marriage yet, for a lot longer than I should have because of that. Fear. So, I would like to say something. I'm not going to read some of the accusations, but some of the accusations that came up into the report. I've said it before, where I have set traps for people to see if those people are faithful, or not just faithful, but have integrity, morals, and are respectful to private conversations or private information, or when they tell me, they would never say anything. I set traps, and I've caught people in them a lot of times. And I will say that I set some traps for my son-in-law to see if it would get back to my ex-husband. And right after my children left with their sibling, I received a message from my ex-husband with that information. Therefore, I knew right away that they were speaking. And it wasn't that they were speaking, I don't know what the word would be, but they weren't speaking in a way that wasn't negative towards me, or trying to stir shit with my ex-husband or give him more ammo. I believe that my oldest children have been fed information. I believe that they truly love my children. They are siblings, and I have always kept them together. My daughter lived here until 4 years ago with her family and my grandson. With that, I just couldn't believe that they would do that. And to find out when nobody else told me that they were supervising so my kids could see their dad on a much more often and regular basis. That's crushing. The excuse was not appropriate of why they wouldn't do it with me. I didn't even know it was a possibility, honestly. I knew that my mom was, and I was working on that, my mom and pops. But because I was able to see the kids faster, I went ahead and went with the service that they were wanting me to go through. And I saw my kids the next day. So I had to take that opportunity. But not only that, it's not only that he can see them more, because he really is not going to utilize that. He lives an hour away, and he never utilized any extra time when he lived in that same place when I had the children. I'm not saying he's not somebody that sees his kids on a regular basis, but the accusations are not only a trap, but they are just downright false against me and true for their father. Every time I sent my children to him, and when he lived here, he would not abide by the bedtimes. He would not abide by not eating up in the other room, away from the table. He kept giving my kids junk food. I used to make them sit down at the table every night and eat dinner with me and try new things. My children pretty much eat fast food when they are with him. He also would tell you that I was the disciplinary because he didn't want to be mean. He let the kids play video games all day. I gave him the packets for school, and he lost them and did not make them do anything, which then got us really far behind. He undermines every authority that I had by, telling me to be the disciplinary. However, going back on it every time. I took my son's game machines away, game system, several times, once for 3 months, and he'll go buy him new ones. I have problems in my son's behavior where I learned yesterday that he actually could have physically harmed another child in the house. But I learned that he gave them phones. And they are allowed. I demanded that they be removed from him. Supposedly my oldest daughter, allegedly, my oldest daughter is in charge of those. However, he is allowed to text them at any time as long as she sees it. My ex also brings my child into very inappropriate adult matters. When the visitation was at the end, he would literally not talk to me and would set everything up through our child, even though many times I told him that wasn't allowed. He would just be like, the kids would come to me and it'd be like, oh, Dad's going to be here in an hour. Wait a minute, I didn't even say Dad could take you this weekend. And I did give extra time right now for all those that say, oh, Dad takes care of them all the time. Because he has 3, maybe 4 warrants and 6 charges, and who knows what's going to happen. He may not be able to be there for his children for a longer period of time than any child should ever go through. It was for my children. I was working with the school to make sure that my kids were taken care of. We were working on a new diagnosis for the IEP because of developmental not being an issue, but behavior. My son got kicked out of school and suspended while my ex was here 10 times and would have been expelled had he have not been a special needs child. I sat in that meeting crying with my principal and trying to figure out a way to help Jet. I am not allowed to text, talk to, or see my children unless I am with that supervised visit guy, and there's no phone calls. I don't get to Zoom my kids anymore. I get to see them for 2 hours, 3 days a week. That's it. And the man that is partially the cause of some major issues with my children, as well as our home. I've always been in financial trouble personally because of some of the things that he did while he was on drugs. Stealing of credit cards, maxing my accounts out, stealing money, not paying child support. I never intended to have 2 children on my own financially. I do it. So, yes, that is a big problem because my ex-husband can have supervised visits by my daughter, and I do not. And I was the parent in those kids' life the majority of the time. I took them to all the doctors, all of their friends' stuff. I took them to every birthday party, almost every. I was here every day. So that floors me. And my own daughter, is basically feeding into the lies because he himself was lying about me to the DCS. He also got to make the decision when he was asked if he could take my children. If he could take the children, he flat out said no, he could not. He was then able to give his recommendation of where my children went. Honestly, I would have rather my children went to my parents, or my mom and my pops, because of the financial reasons. I knew they could help, handle that. But I'm still glad they're with family. I will say that. Welcome back, everybody. If you've missed, then there's a whole other video. And then I want to get one last thing. And this goes back to the same point of in the best interest of a child. Being erased from your family is not in the best interest. Being yanked. I mean, I actually had to argue for them to keep their same skills counselor that they had at school for the last year, maybe longer, with DCS, because I felt that that was in the best interest of my children. They don't think about the best interest of a child. They don't. Because if that had happened from day one, the lady would have got the compelling order. She would not have illegally used a loophole to interview my children and twist everything they said. She would have investigated, as she is called, a child protection service investigator. I've reached back out to Carlos Morales. I've spoke to him several times. He has put out very publicly what that investigator is for, and it is not to protect your children. I've proven that many times from this caseworker. This is something else that came up, and I just, talked about it a minute. All these decisions with CASA and all these other places have been decided, and my kids are, vouchers are being given instead of the clothes that they have. Things and they're setting up different counselors, and there's not even services ordered. People don't understand that there is not a court order. Hello, Mark, that states they are a child in need of services. And they're not. I have provided, they were trying to change their dentist. They've been with the same dentist since birth. I mean, not birth, but as soon as they got their teeth. And my son has teeth problems. So does my daughter. They have oral sensitivity. What is it called? Oral sensitivity, those drive me crazy, and my mind's completely blank. Or they can't tolerate it. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't think. But they have oral texture and taste issues. So they've been with the same dentist since birth, and then they were trying to change their doctor, and that's ridiculous. They are not even determined to be child in need of services. Yes, they are in DCS's care, and they are governing some of the decisions. However, those are decisions that should not be done. They're trying to say I didn't take my kids to the doctor. My kids are up to date except for one shot, and they just had their birthday for their well check. They don't even have their piñata done, for God's sake. I had not yet ever spoke to CASA outside of that meeting, and the first meeting I was cut off of. I was not allowed to be a part of because I was recording. Like I told them, every meeting will be recorded. And this is why. I then began to talk to the caseworker. And in the first meeting, the CASA worker, and that is a child advocate. That's all it is. A court-appointed child advocate. They've had no more training than... Look, I have more experience, and I have training too, and I actually have college in child development. People don't really know that if you're just coming in, but some of you still do. I actually went to college and took some courses in child development because I was an assistant. First, I owned a home daycare, and then I owned a daycare. And then I had a assistant director job of a daycare, of a large daycare. Very large. Okay, when the fire engines come my way, I wait for the ambulance and the police. Because I feel like they're coming for me. They send this well check all the time. Wouldn't doubt me if they're trying to shut me down now by well check. That's even had my door kicked in by police officers. So, the very first meeting, I, just for the record, had CASA, which I want to tell you is not just any CASA. Not just any CASA for my family. No. She is the director of the county I live in. The director of CASA. She made that very well known last time as well. When she was introducing herself to the new caseworker. Because you start off with an investigator, then you get one that's a permanent type of caseworker. I sure hope that permanent one is a lot smarter than this one, and a lot is not so much a snake. But we'll see. When I asked her, obviously, I asked if she explained what she was, and that her main goal was for the best interest of the children. And so a couple times I asked her, does that really sound like the best interest of these children? Do you think ripping their mother, who has taken care of them their whole life, who had them in her belly, who went to every doctor's appointment, who stayed for 6 weeks at each of theirs birth in the NICU, because I followed doctor's orders. Let's make that very clear. I was not a drug addict when I had my children. I was on medication. Who tucks them in every night since they were small with the same stupid saying that I miss so much. People think I'm silly whenever they hear it, but who has been there for Jet's broken arm, every surgery, when his dad was not? Do you think that's the best interest of my child? No. Do you think a CASA who states that she is for the best interest represents my child legally when all they've had is a couple hours of legal training? I know that for fact. Look up online, Indiana CASA requirements, classes, schedule. Every time I asked her and the caseworker where my children's attorney was, why they were not present at any place that they were being interviewed and protected, because by golly, if you're not going to let me, then you make sure that their rights and the legal part of their fight, their war, is covered. And they are not. And every time she avoided it, until she finally said, no, I am not. And I said, then you have no right to speak on my children's legal rights, and you're not upholding them. You guys, when asked when my kids would get their attorney, I would like you to know what was said. And this is key, and you guys need to understand this. Your attorney cannot do anything with your children. Your husband, the father's attorney cannot do anything for your child. They are not their attorney. And when asked, since we both got court-appointed attorneys, when my children would get one, I was told this: Kristan, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to block you if you come on here starting shit. I don't need it. Okay? I would appreciate it if you would just listen, if you want to hear the story.
I am going to stay on social media. I am not bashing anyone. I am speaking truth. Chris, you obviously weren't listening. CASA is not an attorney. CASA is a court-appointed child advocate. And that is not an attorney. And they do not think about the rights or legal rights. They do not get training. They think about what they feel is the best interest of a child. So, if you're here to try to work me up, that's not going to happen. I am willing to leave you alone like I have. If you want to watch and offer things in a respectful way, then I'm willing to keep you on here. But stuff like this, I don't need. You can replay to hear the whole story. Please don't come in and try to set me back and get me off track like a lot of times people do. So, you have to hire an attorney for your children. So you want me to foot the bill on the children you stole from me illegally, wrongfully, immorally, and then I would probably not, and I don't know how this works, but I probably would not be able to have anything to do with that. Attorneys, it'd be attorney-child privilege. I don't know. The point of the matter is I don't have an attorney to fight on my end to get my children back. How am I going to have an attorney to protect them too? Now, if I could hire one attorney and protect us both, that would be one thing. Okay, Chris, I respect that. However, CASA is not an attorney, and they do not look after the legal issues concerning the children. They look what they feel is the best interest. So that's one of my points, guys. It is unjust, unfair, and somebody wrote something, and I want you guys to take this to heart, is set up some contingencies plans. I wish now. I had been speaking with my mom and setting up things. I do have it set up in the divorce because at the time my mom did not live in state to go to my daughter if anything was to happen to me in this life. And if I was to pass away, they were to go to my daughter. But I had already expressed my wishes to my family that obviously if their dad was not right, that they'd go to my mom until my daughter was older or more financially set and able to care for them that way. Regardless, it didn't get done. And that is such a stupid move on my part. I can't go backwards. Hello, Antonio. Thank you for joining me. Set something in stone, guys. Another family member that you trust. You know, I did trust my other daughter, and I think if the meddling of Miss Furman and a few of her other very loyal followers and the audience that she has is why she does what she does, I believe, had not done what they've been doing for all this time, we wouldn't be here still. I almost think that it was my ex-husband, because I know that it's a party to the case who was the reporter, because they have stated that they've kind of stated some things that make that very clear to me in not those words. I am wondering if the information that he got from my son-in-law, wrong as it is for some people to they might say that I was wrong to set traps, but look, if you know my life the last 2 years, you'd know why. People that flip-flop people that say you can trust them and you can't. I have had a lot of hurt because I've not just trusted people, but trusted people and them let very personal things out, which the trolls take and share and spread, but they've also spread information because they've been pissed off. I know for a fact that Miss Furman did not directly contact and has never spoken to my caseworker. However, I know that she has a big part in what has happened to my children and me. Even after the meanness and harm, hurt that person has caused me, I still tried recently to make amends and just stop the hate. And that did not happen. I posted some of the messages back, and they were not kind or nice or factual. She is the one that consistently spreads that I have had all 4 of my children removed from my care. That is untrue, without a doubt. My son just turned 18, and I have had joint custody the entire time, as well as actual physical custody in the courts the entire time. As he got older, he, chooses to stay with his dad more, but we share custody. Do I take, and here's something, I am not trying to be mean, but do you take responsibility? Absolutely, for things that I am guilty of. I've repeatedly said things I don't do right, but this is not that story or that time, because I didn't do anything wrong here. So, the one thing that I probably could say I've done wrong is, in a lot of people's eyes, is some of the approach when I first began CPS, DCS, advocating and being an activist, is that I came in like a wrecking ball. And I saw one side. Look, I see both sides, and I understand, and I want the child welfare service, protective services to work. I want it. Have I said the wrong things at times in, have I yelled at my child, when I got frustrated to the point where I deserved to have my child taken? No. But have I raised my voice? Yeah. Have I cut my daughter off, thinking because I'm in such a hurry or my kids off because I thought I knew the answer? Yeah. Have I dropped the ball on a doctor's appointment? Yeah. So I understand you're not trying to be mean, Cheryl, but I absolutely take responsibility. I've even said in the Kenworthy case that I trusted. I've said that there's times, when I trusted other people to vet people that are veterans here in the movement that I shouldn't have. I just said that I've, said things and done things just like you, just like every other human being, as well as Mom. But I do not accept, and I will not accept, taking responsibility for things that are wrong, things that are done to me that are not right, and especially things that are done to my children that are not right. If I didn't care about the protection of my children, I wouldn't have called a police department that I know I'm targeted against when they started doing what they did that time on YouTube. I wouldn't have cut back my lives. I wouldn't have put my shows on hold. I wouldn't have stopped traveling. I wouldn't have stopped advocating one-on-one. Instead, stepping to the media side of it. So, no, I will not accept any responsibility for the accusations that have been put forward that have had my children removed. Do I make eggs sometimes for dinner? Yep. Do I let my kids eat a lot of hard-boiled eggs? Yep. But do my kids only eat eggs? Nope. Does my daughter cook all her meals? Nope. But do I let her cook? I'm trying to let go of the reins a little bit. She's 10. I've let her do a few things because that's what you do. You give them responsibility. Do my kids have pets? Yep. Do I make them care for them? Yep. Do I sometimes allow my children's consequences of not doing their homework to happen? Yep. Do I forget things that I maybe shouldn't, that they think I should remember? Yep. Have I ever told a white lie to a job and said I was sick? Yep. Have I ever lied? Yes. Did I learn through life that was probably not the best thing? Yeah. Right, I'm a mom. I'm just a mom. I'm a super mom hero to my children, and that's important to me. Have I taught my children how to, or have I been angry around my children? Yes. But have I taught them how to calm down? How to not handle it or handle it? Yes. Have I allowed, my anger to get the best of me was towards somebody else? Yes. Have I been sad and cried around my children? Yes. Have I failed in front of my children? Yes. Yes. But I also, with that, have been able to teach them that there is failures going to happen in life, and you pick yourself up, you brush yourself off, you learn from it, and you move on. And you don't beat yourself up for the rest of your life. Things I did 2 years ago are still being used against me through this internet. Did I need to learn more when I first started? Yep. Did I think I knew it all? No. Did I think I have a very good understanding? Yes. But I didn't know half of it. So, no matter what has happened in these 2 years, I have made mistakes, and I've said it repeatedly. But I would never do the things that they say I have done. I would never ignore my children, neglect them, abuse them, not feed them, not bathe them. My children, one of them doesn't like to brush her hair. Yep, that's not a battle I want to fight every day. Is it clean? Yes. But I won't sit there and, number one, I have arthritis really bad in my hands. I'm not going to sit there and fight physically with her. Today, I had a conversation with my daughter, my little one, and she proceeded to tell me that, why are you looking at my house? Rubberneck that bad. She proceeded to tell me that her big sister had put them in their room all night, all day and all night, for getting in trouble. I'm okay with discipline. However, the conversation led to, did she stay there? Because I have put her in her room many times, taken things away, and I get a big physical fight, very